is in my eye? Lint. Oh my God. Okay. So, oh, let's just pretend that lint's not in my eye. I was still so confused. All of this because I jilted him at the end of a dinner date. Oh my God, why can't I say these words? Oh, I make this look hard. Okay. I was. Did I push start? I hope so. I'm Dina Haynes. I'm reading to you my book called Neesa, the first book in the original reality book series. It is a contemporary romance series, although this first book is kind of a little more romantic suspense, but the next book is definitely like straight up contemporary romance. I can't wait for you guys to read that. I just love them. I love both. I love all my books. They're like my children. So anyway, if you're new to my channel, now is the time you're gonna wanna go back to the beginning. There are links in the video as well as down below in the description. But before you go, hit that like button, because hey, I want people to watch these videos as much as me. That's what I want. And you can help me out by pressing the like button, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so that way you can be notified when the next video goes up. And if you've been coming here, welcome back. You know where we're at. We're at the climax. So let's get to it, because I'm going to drop some spoilers about the last chapter, which was chapter 30. Chapter 30, we saw Ben is just like knocking on the freaking door. Like, come on, Ben, let's do this. Your girlfriend's in danger. Danger, yeah, danger. So time to hustle. And did you think it was kind of funny when he was talking about how he wanted to race home to her after lunch, after having his lunch? I'm like, was that a little like intuition kicking in? So funny. So now we're about to go back to Neesa. I'm sure you're excited to know what's going to happen next, because you know where we left off. David was attacking her. So let's get to it. Chapter 31. Chapter 31, Neesa's perspective. I wailed as David brandished the gun in my face. He was yelling something at me, but I couldn't hear it over my pleas. I was positive that every moment would be my last. And the babies. He began to pace the room, hitting the butt of the gun against his hip. I prayed he shot himself, but that wasn't in God's plan. I was still so confused. All of this because I jilted him at the end of a dinner date? I'd reimburse him tenfold if he turned around and walked out, no harm, no foul, except for my split, throbbing lip and my swelling right eye. With David distracted, I glanced at my phone under the bed. It had landed face down, so I had no way of knowing if the call had gone through or if the operator had dispatched someone. Time crept forward, and I focused on listening for sirens. I needed to stay alive long enough for them to get here. Enola kept barking, still convinced she could persuade our intruder to leave. Her heart thumped so fast inside her ribcage that I feared it might seize up. While David appeared distracted by his inward tirade, I calmed down a bit. A few slightly less tense moments later, I shushed Enola to a whimper. David muttered to himself, wearing a track in the carpet. I was relieved he took the focus off me, but I needed to understand. If he perceived I'd done something wrong, I needed to do whatever I could to make amends. I'm sorry, I said, too low for him to hear. Then I tried again, a little louder this time. I'm sorry, David. He said, You don't know what you're sorry for. He leered at me. I hunched my shoulders and winced, then said, Whatever it is you're mad about, I'm sorry for the way our date ended. I never meant to hurt you. It seemed insane to hold a grudge for so long over something so pointless. People got rejected all the time. but they didn't break into someone's house and threaten them with a gun. Except on that TV show Snapped. Thanks, Ben, for introducing me to that reality show nightmare. He said, "Are you really, huh? Are you really sorry? Or are you regretting it now because I have a gun pointed at you?" I said, I just want to know how to make this right. He said, "It's too late for that. Look what you made me do. And it's your fault." He punctuated each word, stabbing the gun at me. I flinched, terrified the gun would go off again at any second. I said, "Then what do you want from me?" I swallowed. "Killing me won't solve anything." He said, "Maybe it will, because then he won't have you either." I asked, "Who, Ben? Please, just calm down and tell me what's going on between you two." His face scrunched. With the sun finally coming up, I could see his skin was red with anger, like a child at the height of a tantrum. In another situation, one not involving a gun, I might have laughed at his antics. He said, "His name is Reuben." His lip curled as if the name left a disgusting film in his mouth. "I hired him. You can thank me for setting you two up," he said. Remembering what Reuben had said about the case, I said, "You hired him." "Right. He told me, David." David yelled, "Wrong!" Then he laughed with a maniacal lilt. "You're so stupid," he said. He shook his head. "That's not my real name." He poked his chest with his gun hand. "I'm Jeff." "Go on, say it with me. Jeff." Hey, I don't mean to interrupt your story, but we got to take care of some business. Have you liked the video yet? Because if not, now's a really good time to pause, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't done that already. That helps me out. And now let's get back to the story. Jeff, I thought to myself. I knew of a Jeff, but it couldn't be the same one. Angling the gun at my face again, he yelled, "Say it, Jeff." I said, "Jeff?" He said, "Uh-huh, Schaefer. Now you say it." I said, "Jeff Schaefer." He said, "That's right. Now she's getting it." My whole body went numb except for the throbbing in my lip. Of course I knew the name. I had cursed it and him many times with Claire. I stared off into space, trying to wrap my brain around the fact that Annabelle's husband was David, was Annabelle's husband. Why had he hired Ben? To investigate me? That would explain the stalkerish way we'd met, but why? And since when do PIs get involved with the people they're investigating? This made less sense than ever. I needed to focus on the person in front of me. I asked, "Why did you ask me out on a date? You know Annabelle is my friend." He said in a mocking tone, "Duh. I've dreamed about you ever since I personally created the avatar in your video game. And I followed your career years before that. I'm probably your biggest fan. Imagine my surprise when I found out you and Annabelle are friends. I mean, she's a sweet girl, but look at her. She talks about you all the time, so I went through her phone and found those pictures of you in a bikini." He gaped. "And less." I blinked. "Less?" My brain flashed through images I'd texted Annabelle. Bikinis? The pictures he was talking about were exchanged months ago. Jesus, it was so stupid. It had never occurred to me Annabelle's husband would intercept photos of me trying on bathing suits at Nordstrom, though a simple internet search would yield equally revealing results from my days as an actress. Anything less would have been in his imagination. I said, "There are no nude pictures of me. You must be talking about someone else." Ignoring my response, he said, "You're such a beautiful girl. You must hear that all the time, but I know you've been saving yourself. I'm that guy. Annabelle says you think it's hard to find a good man in LA, but you've seen the way I take care of her. I'm successful, not bad looking. And don't worry about Annabelle. She just wants a green card. Our marriage is a sham, a business deal, nothing more. I could tell at that showing when we met, you want the same things I do, to settle down and start a family. Annabelle was just practice for someone like you." His tone was so reasonable, but the talk was pure psycho. I said, "Like me? What am I to you? I stopped and measured my words. The last thing I wanted was to set him off. I continued, "Our date was a disaster, Jeff. We have nothing in common. You said those awful things to me, remember? It wouldn't work, you and me. He said, I'm sorry about that. I was upset, but it doesn't mean we can't start over. I said, Jeff, I don't want that. Do you hear me? There is no hope for us. He leveled the gun at me again and asked, why? You think Reuben is so great, huh? He's one step from poverty. He peeps in women's windows for a living. That's how he became interested in you. I jerked my head at his last comment. He said, good, let it sink in. He was stalking you. He latched onto you, and then he lied to you repeatedly. My heart lost its rhythm. It was one thing to indulge the words of a psychopath, but could he be telling the truth? I squeezed Enola tighter in my arms and said, but you said you hired him. Did you hire him to stalk me? His expression went cold. He said, I didn't. I hired him to find some information about you, that's all. And he withheld all of it, even the pictures. I said, pictures? I was going to be ill. I swallowed, but my tongue felt thick in my mouth, and with the taste of blood, bile rose up in my throat. Getting hung up on his story was distracting, but I had to keep him talking, had to give the police time to get here. Did Annabelle know what her husband had been up to? She couldn't possibly and still pretend things were normal between us. Or was that why she was so quiet about her private life? I asked, does Annabelle know? He said, no. Even if she did, what's she going to do? I paid for her to come here. I paid for everything she has. A house and expensive clothes. She knows if I report her, they'll send her back to the Netherlands. Trust me, she doesn't want to go back there. Not after she left her abusive boyfriend behind. My head jerked again. All these surprises were beginning to wear on me, not to mention my injuries. He said, she didn't tell you? Oh God, yeah. I'm practically a hero in her eyes. I whispered, that can't be. My head got woozy, my blood sugar. I wasn't feeling so well. My head drooped to the side and I flung out a hand, catching myself before I fell over. He asked, what's wrong with you? I slurred, I'm sick. I'm going to pass out. He said, what do you mean you're sick? Don't play with me. I wiped a hand across my forehead. It came away, slick with cold sweat and blood. I tried to focus, to stay alert, but it was getting more difficult with each second. I'm hypoglycemic. I can't. Enola started barking again. My heart pounded against my ribs, beating so loud. Then the floor rushed at me and I passed out. Oh my God. Okay, so tune in. Yeah. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and the little bell icon. And I'll see you for the next video, chapter 32. It's going to be from Reuben's perspective. Maybe now he's going to find out what's going on with Neesa.